Honorable Member, last minutes, anything to be amended or?
Yeah, just to follow up on the matter that was raised. I have of course taken up with the Honorable Speaker. Before I make a written submission, I want to know, Honorable Chair, whether the Ministry or the committee has anything to say on the matter.
Those documents, no? Some of the documents that you requested.
Yeah, that it is a violation of the Standing Orders 111, Section 28, and I mean, like if I make a written submission, they will have to be brought before the Speaker, and they will have to answer Parliament, because privileges of MPs have been secured by the Standing Orders, and it is part of the Constitution. No ministry is special. We are here to represent 22 million people, and I had to raise the questions that matter to the people of my country. When questions are being raised in verbal and in written, it is up to the minister to send me responses, or to the committee. Committee has requested in writing, asking for replies for the last 6 months, and you all have unfortunately failed in a very miserable way to send us in writing. And there were certain unacceptable excuses given, saying that special provisions of the Constitution does not require that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to respond to Parliament. I think the Additional Secretary himself was saying, not you, the other lady who was present, saying that that you are only answerable to the appointing authority. So what is the purpose of this committee meeting, if that is the case? We are here to represent and raise issues of 22 million people. If the ministry is going to take this stand and say we are not going to reply and send answers back, then you have to be reported to the Honorable Speaker and the Secretary General, because you are in violation of Standing Orders and the Constitution.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Honorable Members. Let me first assure the committee that we are here to respond to all queries raised by Honorable Members of Parliament. And as I said in the last meeting, 3-4 times we have sent a certain response in writing. There are pending queries also we will be responding to. And when we mention about the certain policy decisions of policy related questions, I was instructed by Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs to inform the Honorable Chairman that when the Honorable Chairman writes to the Minister, he himself will respond to Honorable Chairman. So we are not in. We are if it is perceived as that we are not willing to answer, or we are violating the rights of the Honorable Members of Parliament, but we extend our sincere apologies if that is the understanding. But however, we would like to say that we are here to answer all possible questions, and we will answer, and also we take the instructions from the Honorable MFA as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and as per his instructions, I only simply conveyed his instruction that that when the Honorable Chairman writes to him, he will respond to sensitive and policy-related matters, which we will do. So therefore, whatever pending questions that we have not in written form not answered, we will send our responses. But almost all the questions in verbally we have answered here.
Is there a checklist from the questions that have been raised, and how many numbers have been answered and how many questions that not been answered?
Inquiry is pending, and we will respond to that one.
What is that? Pending inquiry?
Question forwarded by Honorable Yadamani Gunawardana.
No, we Additional Secretary, you are still the Additional Secretary, correct? Please, just to be on record, tell me when was that sent? Was it me or was it the committee that was requesting? I have only written to the committee chair, and I have always sent you across the committee. So it is the Parliament that you have to respond. Okay. The last communication was sent on the 17th of July, if I remember correct, somewhere around that time.
17th July, ne?
17th July. The committee very clearly said 30 days. You had requested 45 days. That was brought to my attention by the secretary of the committee. We even gave 45 days till the end of August. So now it has been a month since end of August, and the committee is still waiting for a written response. This is a matter arising from the original communication sent in March of this year. So the actual delay of the entire process is about 6 months now. And on the matter about policy matter, I mean, it is understood. Parliamentarians understand very clearly that matters related to international relations and foreign affairs, yes, we understand that there are sensitive areas. So please, we are not wanting to cross the line. If it is a sensitive area, put that in writing and send us, saying that it is sensitive, therefore we don't want to respond. We will understand. But non-communication, not responding to questions raised by parliamentarians is not an answer that should be given by a public servant, especially of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, especially someone coming from Foreign Service. And the lady, I can't remember, I think she was also additional secretary or assistant secretary of the ministry who responded quoting the constitution. I can't remember her name. I think she's a very good diplomat. I don't know why she quoted the constitution saying that that they are only answerable to the appointing authority. She was present here a couple of times. She's a very good diplomat, I know. But I don't think she was correct in her answer, saying that she will not be responding on behalf of the ministry on matters raised by this committee. Very bad practice.
As I said last time, 3-4 times, dated 3rd September, 4th September, and 6th September, there were 3 communications we have sent, and whatever pending, we will before the next committee meeting, we will be responding to in writing.
In writing, so we'll take, I think next meeting is supposed to be on the 17th. So before that, we have to submit to the committee.
So that is before the end of the month of October. Whatever that is pending from what we have raised in March, from March. Yes? And about the what's her name, the Gunasekara, assistant secretary. On her remarks, what do you have to say, additional secretary?
I'm sorry, I didn't recall. I believe I was not present.
Probably not. That would have been the reason why she was present.
And as far as we are concerned, we are here to answer. We know the mandate of the Sectoral Oversight Committee, and we are here to, as you correctly said, you represent 22 million Sri Lankans, and we are here to respond to all queries. Whichever way we could, we will do, and we will.
So let's finish this chapter on the 17th, and make sure that we don't discuss the same thing. If there are sensitive information, you write on the paper saying it is sensitive, and we cannot discuss on a public forum. So just make sure that you respond. Okay. So Honorable GL Piris and Honorable Akira Lavala has informed that they won't be able to participate, and we have 2 youth representatives today. So why don't you introduce yourself? You can just speak, no need the mic.
I'm junior lawyer. I'm coming from Lanka. I'm interested in international relations and thank you, Chairman and the Secretarial Committee, for giving us this opportunity to participate in this forum.
Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Vatsanu Jadilaka, and I'm currently a social sciences graduate in General Sir John Kuthalawala Defence University, specializing in international relations. So I'm currently I'm a junior marketing executive, and on regarding to this committee, I'm very privileged to hear, and it's an honor to be present here as a youth representative in terms of international relations and geopolitics. Because this, as a youth, I believe that international relations and geopolitics is not a common trend and a common knowledge aspect that is not gone to the youth's mind. So I believe that through us, through youth representatives, we will be able to take this problem with the guidance of this committee. Thank you so much for letting us be here.
Thank you. And congratulations, I just heard you're getting graduated today.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Congratulations. So today's main agenda is talking about intercommunication between the stakeholders with the foreign ministry, especially with regards to trade, commerce, tourism and investment. So I believe almost all the stakeholders are present here. And there are two areas that we are very keen on looking at. One is the policy decision that foreign ministry has to take with the government way forward about BRICS and about appointing an interministerial committee to discuss about the way forward after incorporating BRICS and how we're going to work with that. And I believe we would like to hear from other stakeholders as well, especially with BOI, Commerce Department, EDB, how positive and negative impact the Sri Lanka can get by engaging with BRICS in a very active manner. And also the other area that we want to discuss is mainly that when we had couple of meetings, we all realized that there is a gap, or I would say a gap of communication between relevant authorities, especially with overseas missions in regard into investment, EDB and Commerce Department and BOI, so and tourism. So there is a tendency of operating separately. So we would like to see how we can have a mechanism through our committee and propose to the foreign ministry and to the government to have a more efficient and a progressive communication method or a system where all the stakeholders can work together and share information. Because sometimes what we saw actually when we engaged with the foreign ministry and relevant authorities on separate meetings, that there is a gap of communication with other departments. So as a result, maybe we do well, but we still not been able to have a full potential. And we attempt to blame the foreign ministry for their inefficiency, but actual responsibility lies on a different department or institution. So that's what we would like to talk today on our agenda. So I would invite Additional Secretary to take the floor. And
thank you, Mr. Honorable Chairman, once again. With regard to BRICS, that's a very important subject, and it's relevant and is going to impact many countries in the world. And as the committee correctly advised us, I did have a discussion with the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. What he said was he is in agreement with the formulation of an inter-ministerial committee, and he had requested the Honorable Chairman to write to him so that based on that communication he will speak to the cabinet, and once the cabinet agrees to, because solely he wouldn't have an authority to give instructions to other ministries. Therefore, once the communication comes, we will be able to take it up through the minister at the cabinet and then follow up.
thank you. So we will write to him today,
yes, sir,
to the committee, and
yes,
shall we then we'll proceed with the...
Yes, please.
So, and the next step is about communication between other departments. So how would, and I think we have commerce, and I want to thank EDB for the proposal you all have submitted, what we promised last time, so thank you very much for that. So what we see is there is a gap of communication, as we understood last time and with couple of meetings, when regarding promoting investments, tourism, even EDB and Commerce Department. So what is your opinion and view and way forward about it?
Well, I think we thank the committee for making this very constructive suggestion that the gap among the government agencies have to be reduced, and we shouldn't have any gaps. And however, we also say that we have been working with other relevant authorities. For example, Export Development Board, and on a regular basis, Export Development Board contacts embassies abroad through our Economic Affairs Division with the coordination of the division, and we do reach out to importers in those countries, and the necessary connection is being made by the foreign ministry and the embassies concerned. But as you correctly said, I think we can do better. So therefore, a better coordination among BOI, Commerce Department, or its successor, and the EDB would be very helpful. Similarly, I think we are working very closely with the Ministry of Labor and Employment Promotion as well. So therefore, there is already some level of coordination and cooperation. But I think, as you said, it's important that we should do better.
Commerce yeah.
I just wanted to ring the bell until that it was brought to notice from this committee about the BRICS. I remember a famous saying by the foreign ministry saying that it is only an organization of 5 countries and we don't even have a desk or department monitoring what is happening. It is on record, so so please be very mindful of whatever that you say is on record. All right, it's a very famous quote saying that it is only an organization of 5 countries, so there is no division nor desk monitoring BRICS for the last 10 years. And when the particular the last conference was held in Johannesburg, I believe, when the matter was brought to the notice of the committee, fortunately or unfortunately, on the same day, your desk covering Africa was present, and they also didn't know that it was happening, and they didn't have a representation sent to understand what is the impact for Sri Lanka on this. Correct?
Yes, it happened. However, that we didn't have invitation to take part. So so what we did was, after your intervention, we did write to our embassy, High Commission in South Africa, and we have requested a report from them also. So as at now, we don't have different divisions except territorial division, plus the economic affairs divisions, as well as operational divisions like consular, protocol, and overseas administration. Now, I should say that, and we don't have a particular division mandated with the subject of BRICS. So in due course, we should have, I think, as you said, a dedicated officer to follow on the BRICS area.
Not just particularly BRICS. I mean, BRICS is a no, it's what you call a clarion call. It is high time that the ministry and the service wake up to the situation that is actually happening around us. At least after the post-COVID scenario, that is part of the questions that were raised for the last 6 months that have gone unanswered. These are areas for the next 25 years at least. Come up with a proposal, new areas, new organizations, new situations that Sri Lankan Foreign Service and international relations must cover. I'm happy that at least now BRICS has at least some attention is given by the Foreign Ministry. My question is whether this will be the same for other areas. Do we as members of parliament have to raise issues, or will the Foreign Ministry come to us and say these are the new areas that should, because the part of one question that we have raised in writing is whether there are any proposals from the Foreign Ministry. So far, no proposals for the last 6 months. So very unfortunate. I think any other government agency would have given us some proposal.
Honorable Chairman, I want to add something to Honorable Yadamani also. That has any study been done on the BRICS and the Indo-Pacific conflict? Because this is like conflict like underwater fire. So,
well, we have established as per his advice of the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, a study group, a research group that started working on, and also we are in the process of taking 25 interns to assist the ministry, as well as we have told our missions abroad to come up with their requirement for interns to work in missions. And we are also proposing guidelines for interns to assist us. So with in addition, we are by January 1st we will have another 40 new officers in the ministry. So we'll have sufficient resources to go into new areas as advised by the honorable members of this committee. So we are in agreement that we need to have studies on new areas. We will get back to.
Now shall we talk about the way forward? How we can communicate, what are the issues that you face? Shall we, because we have summoned most of the relevant ministries as well and departments. So I think, honorable member.
No, please. As
So,
chair.
As I said earlier, Honorable Chairman, that we are open to working with, I mean, already we said we are working with.
But what we want to know is what are the difficulties that you face? Like we start from EDB to BOI to immigration and other departments, commerce department. අපි තානාපති කාර්යාලවල අපේ දැන්ට ප්‍රසන්ස් එකේ තියෙන්නේ කොමර්ස් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ ඔෆිසර් කෙනෙකුයි ලේබර් ඒරියාස් වල يعني මිඩල් ඊස්ට් වල ලේබර් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එක විතරයි නේද? ඒකට අපේ දැන් අනිත් ඒවට අපි කොහොමද කමියුනිකේෂන් නෙට්වර්ක් එකක් හදාගන්නේ? දැන් අපි BOI කියනකොට BOI ගේ ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් ප්‍රොමෝෂන් එකක් කරනවා නම් ලන්ඩන් වල.
Well, I think, yeah. Well, what happens is we have this coordination among the BOI, EDB and other. Now we understand that there will be a new entity succeeding the Commerce Department. So we have this office will be covering, as per our understanding, both investment promotion as well as trade facilitation as well. And therefore we'll have to wait and see how we can. We are in agreement that we need to have better coordination among agencies, and we need to work with other departments. So we also would like to hear from other departments where they also.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Chair. As far as BOI is concerned, we have been engaging with the ministry quite closely lately, because what we found is sometimes the embassy also just would react to someone coming in rather than knowing how to go out and get investors. So we have shared about 340 companies among 14 countries and asked them to try and reach out to those countries and to those particular companies in different sectors where we have done a research to see there might be it will be feasible for them to come and locate here. So that is one step we have taken to try and have.
And when did you start this?
We started it about end of last year. Yes. So
what is the progress? I mean, if you
not
don't mind.
much traction. Some of them had tried to reach out, but then now the whole idea of us trying to share this information was because if we do it from here, it'll be a cold email that goes out. Might not go to the correct person. So what we are envisaging is if the embassy can reach out and find out who is the person, then we can, even the BOI can then have the conversation with them thereafter. But it has not really taken off as well as we expected. It's very slow. I mean, we haven't had a proper response from them in that regard. Then
how many? Sorry to interrupt. How many missions have approached these investors? Do you have data or do you have information?
Honest, right now I don't have that information with me. Our economic affairs division is the one which coordinates with the BOI, and we will.
Can you let us know? How
and
many
check also. In addition, I think we have to have continuous virtual meeting with BOI and the missions abroad, so that in one platform we will be in a position to discuss face to face our practical issues as well as BOI's new suggestion.
Yes, so that's a good suggestion. So actually last year we did have a series of webinars also online where the missions joined, and it was sector specific so that they would get an idea of even being able to promote, because we would go into different sectors. If it's tourism, manufacturing, IT, similarly we had different sectors, and all the missions, I must say, joined whatever the timeline, though we were doing it in the afternoon, it may have been very late night, but they joined in. And these are also available on our website, so they can always refer to it. And we have also shared ready to invest projects on our website, which again is, they have access, anyone has access to it. So the embassies would also have access. But other than that, we do work closely with them on the FTAs and such other matters, bilateral treaties. So that is the kind of link that we have.
Do you have any monitoring mechanism where, where the BOI and the foreign missions, they will have a list of potential companies that they can approach, and then you can update the status and all that? It should be an ongoing process. Do you have anything like that to keep
We have
this?
shared, Minister, but we have not had that progress review.
Yeah, that's
which
very
we-
important.
yes. So
Yeah, I
we'll
think
need to do
it should
that.
be a on.
Yeah, since you have shared information with the mission, so it's, I think, high time we get a report, at least to our committee, as to the progress that you all have made. Especially, I'm not talking about the BOI side, on the missions, how many, it doesn't matter that they have responded or not in a positive manner, but we want to know how many missions have approached and what are the companies they have approached.
We will
And-
write to our missions and get back.
No,
And I think it's very important. One thing is there's a lot of problems investing in Sri Lanka. So if you get a negative response, maybe the Sri Lankan mission can coordinate and see why that negative response is coming. Then
And
you
also, sorry, remember,
Yeah.
can you submit to us about the negative part as well? I mean,
Yeah.
why are they saying Sri Lanka is not feasible for them to become a destination?
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of areas which are negative, we already know, but the problem is we are not solving that. So it's very important that if we get a feedback from the foreign investor as well, then that will compel the government to actually act fast and
fast and do
do the
certain
reforms.
amendments,
That's the problem.
සභාපතිතුමා මේ දැන් අපි පහුගිය සති දෙකකට කලින් මම රමේෂ් එමතුමාට කතා කරා අපේ එම්බසි එක ඉතාමත්ම දුර්වල ප්‍රතිචාරයක් තමයි දක්වලා තියෙන්නේ. බීජින් වල තියෙනවා එක්ස්පෝර්ට් පැවිලියන් එක, ඒකේ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් පැවිලියන් එක කියලා. එතන චයිනීස් කට්ටිය අරගෙන තියෙන අපේ කවුරුත් රෙස්පොන්ස් කරපු නැති නිසා 5000 ස්ක්වයර් මීටර් ඒරියා එක ශ්‍රී ලංකන් පැවිලියන් කියලා. අඩුම ගානේ මේ ස්ථානයට එම්බසි එකෙන් කන්ටැක්ට් කරන්න try කරලා තියෙනවා, කිසිම කෙනෙක් ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වලා නැහැ. ඒක නිසා මේ එම්බසි වලට වියදම් කරන ඒවා බොරු වියදම් කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. මොකද මේ ගිහිල්ලා එතන මේ පාටි දාන්නයි බාල් නටන්නයි තමයි කට්ටිය ඉන්නේ. මේ ෆොටෝස් තියෙනවා අපිට බාල් නටන ඒවා. ඇවිල්ලා මේ මිනිස්සු චයිනීස් අය එවන්නේ බලාගේ රටේ උන් ඇවිල්ලා මේ බාල් නටනවා කියලා. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා බාල් නටන්න මේ ෆොරින් මේ මිෂන් සහතලා වැඩක් නැහැ. ඒක නිසා මේ ඔක්කොම පහුගිය අවුරුදු 5ට කරපු මේවා බලලා ඔක්කොම අපි මේ කවුන මම අපි දෙන්නේ ඡන්දෙවත් දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ අය වෝට් එකට මෙහෙම මේ බාල් නටන්න. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා මේ මිනිස්සු මේ දැන් අපිට එවන මේ චයිනීස් කට්ටිය අපිට මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් බ්‍රෑන්ඩ්ස් එවන්න මේ අපිට අපි එවන්නම් ඒවා කවුරුත් එවන්න කෙනෙකුත් නැහැ අපිට මිනිස්ට්‍රි වල. කතා කරාම දැන් ඔබතුමාලට දොස් කියනවා නේ, ඔබතුමාලා මේ මෙතන වැරද්ද අපි එක්ස්කියුස් කරනවා නෙමෙයි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු එකට එන්න. නමුත් සභාපතිතුමනි දැන් අපි මේ කොළ පුරවල දැන් මේ මෙතන තියෙනවා මේ ට්‍රේඩ් බැලන්ස් එක ගැන. ඉතින් මේ 2022 ට්‍රේඩ් බැලන්ස් එක අඩු වුණේ මේ අපි ඉම්පෝර්ට්ස් නවත්තපු නිසා. එහෙම නැතුව මේ අපි එක්ස්පෝර්ට් වැඩි කළා නෙමෙයි. ඊට අමතරව මේ එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කරන අයිටම් බැලුවොත් එimhe ඔක්කොම චීනෙන් ගේන 80%ක් විතර චීනෙන් ගේන ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් මැටීරියල්ස් වලට තමයි අපෝ එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කරන. මේ රෙදි ගත්තත් මේ ගාමන්ට්ස් අරම මේ ෆැබ්‍රික්ස් අරම ඔක්කොම ගත්තාම ගොඩක් 80%ක් විතර චීනෙන් අපෝ ඉම්පෝර්ට්ස් කරන්නේ මෙහෙට. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා මේක මේ සෙල්ලමට ගන්න දෙන්න බෑ. මොකද අපි ඒකට මේ මිෂන්ස් වල අයගේ key performance indicators බලලා මේ failures තියෙන තැන් ටික identify කරන්න. මොකද හේතුව දැන් මේ අපිට හරි කනගාටුයි. දැන් මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් පැවිලියන් කියලා 5000 square meters area එකක් තියෙනවා බීජින් වල. කවුරුත් වැඩ මේ අඩුම ගානේ ඒක ඕපනින් එකට එන්න කියලා තියෙන කෙනෙකුට ඒකට අවිල්ලත් නැහැ කවුරුත්. ඒ වගේ
ඒක trade ministry එකෙන්
සත්තු
දෙන්නේ?
ටිකක් ඉන්න ඕයි.
But you don't have embassy there now, ne?
Well, I think we have a CDA for senior foreign service officer there, but we will inquire into. I mean, I will get more information from honorable member of
Embassy
parliament.
කෙනෙක් නැහැ.
ඒක තමයි ඉම්බැසඩර් නැති වුණාට ඒවා ඉන්නෝනේ පඩි ගන්න මේ නිලධාරීන් ටිකක්.
So we have person
දැන්
from the
දැන් නිලධාරීන් කීයද? දැන් හරි ඉම්බැසඩර් වුණාම නිලධාරීන් ඉන්නවනේ. How many officials there?
Now we have an officer from the commerce department. I will get you, sir,
Who
from
is this head of that commerce department? Name?
China.
China?
Honorable Member, she is Mrs. Nalika Kodikara, Trade Officer in Beijing.
Can you communicate with her and check what has happened?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Because Beijing, I think we need to, you all have to inform the minister, to inform the president, to appoint the ambassador soon as possible, because the president is also expecting on an official and a state visit in October, and we are running without a head of mission. So I don't think it's a good signal. I mean, it's not a good, especially when you are just about to.
Only few days ago, the ambassador returned. I believe.
I think not few days, no, about month,
no, sir, about a week, I think.
week ago.
And actually, the president has.
Week ago?
The embassy returned week ago.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying
Mr.
this
Palitha.
on record, Additional Secretary? When did the ambassador return to the island?
End of August.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
But I was under the impression that he returned after the honorable minister's visit.
No,
He
sir,
returned
end
on
of
first
August.
week of August. For your
First week.
record.
First
First
week of August.
August.
Has to be first week of August.
Yeah. For the last 2 months, we haven't had no ambassador in Beijing.
Yeah. And
We have one of the key cities in the world without a Sri Lankan ambassador being present for the last 2 months.
is the
That
government
matter that will be
responsible.
raised by the Honorable Chairman.
Actually, the president has to make that nomination.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
why are you telling us that it is only a week? That is where the problem is. It's not about the president. Don't pass the ball. You have to come with the correct information for this committee to make decisions and matters that is pressing at the moment. Now, if I may, Honorable Chair, the two other issues that were raised in the written questionnaire. One was a long list of ministries and state institutions that the foreign ministry had any collateral relation for the last 12 months, which was due on the list. Part of it has been submitted. There were about 30 Sri Lankan institutions you have met, but it doesn't say whether there was a concurrence, whether there was any training in exchange between the two institutions. For example, if it's BOI, whether selected foreign service people were given any specific training. If it is tourism, whether there was any specific training given, whether it was some other state entity, whether there was any training given for them to go overseas and embark on whatever that was initially thought of. That is the main reason why two government institutions must collaborate. Now it was a grey area. There was no information on that.
Sir, now
Second matter, let me just finish. It was also raised in this committee a couple of times, is the example that is done in Cuba. Every year in the month of August, across the world, they have about 200 plus foreign missions around the world, much more than Sri Lanka. Probably only second or third to US and Cuba. They come back to Havana for 2 weeks. They go through all this training. Tourism, their exports, their cultivation, whatever. What they have to go out and do for their country in the next 365 days is being trained for 2 weeks. And then they go back to their respected missions. This is how Cuba has managed to survive in the last 55, 60 years. Now, this was part of the questionnaire. This was asked, do you agree or do you propose anything indifferent? Still the foreign ministry is unable to come back with an answer. Whether, for example, EDB or BOI, I don't know that is here. Both are here. Whether they are willing to sponsor a workshop, a seminar, a training program for your diplomats or their subordinates once a year in matter that they have to go overseas and campaign for. But there is no response from the foreign ministry whether this is acceptable or not. That is what we have asked from the questionnaire. Yes or no? We are not asking for lot details and how it can be done, but whether something of this nature should be done or not. As far as the BOI is concerned, it is not since it is not a matter of this committee, I don't want to come in, but I think there are still shortcomings from BOI side, because the world works on a 24-hour clock. But unfortunately, BOI works only 8 to 4, whatever standard time of a government agency. Unfortunately, I have to say this. I'm very sorry, because half of the world works on the other side of the clock. And when they are working, we are not willing to or ready to answer back because we have to wait till our morning arrives. And unfortunately, the missions are also doing the same thing, because they are saying our foreign ministry is now sleeping time. We have to wait till 8 o'clock in the morning, and they keep on. So do we have a 24-hour, 365-day, some system that operates with the rest of the world? So that is also part of the question here that had gone unanswered. So we are just raising these issues. Whether there is a center 24 hours, 365 days of the year running to promote Sri Lankan business, tourism, foreign interests. Now there are 2 countries that have had elections and they change governments. There is no discussion in the IR committee. I mean, you should have briefed us at the very beginning of the committee. There is a new president in Maldives. There is issue in Slovakia. There is general elections held and can't find a government. What is Sri Lanka's international relations parliament should do? Because I think the morning is still, we are waiting till it arrives.
So with regard to training part, I would like to mention that before COVID, on a regular basis, every year, all the heads of mission were brought to Colombo and given about 1 week kind of training and where all the Sri Lankan government agencies were briefing the ambassadors and heads of mission, heads of post with regard to development Sri Lanka and new information with regard to investment and so on. After COVID, it was not held, and but new officers with regard to now, before officers go on posting, now we are in the process of sending out about 10 heads of mission to certain countries. So we have devised a program, training program, and it's a 5-day program, right? 10 days. It's a 10-day program, and where all the important agencies like BOI, EDB, and other Commerce Department, and Chambers of Commerce, all the relevant public and private sector entities would take part and help our new submission to be aware of their challenges. So as I said earlier, we did have an annual program like what is done in Cuba, but now after COVID, during COVID it was not held. After that, we were having a regular virtual meetings. Last year I myself took part.
Yeah, we understand that, but at the same time what honorable member is trying to raise is that there has to be a proper mechanism put forward by the foreign ministry, because either we have to decide whether we are going to give the responsibility to BOI or trade ministry or commerce ministry, but at this given time the infrastructure is with the foreign ministry, so it's much more feasible to work around the foreign ministry to have an intercommunication to become the agency or the institution to communicate with relevant organizations. I think earlier you had mistaken Indian envoy returned last week. So now at the moment we are running the major 2 countries without head of missions.
Minutes are already.
Yeah, here.
So in the process of.
So shall we propose the foreign ministry to have a mechanism with other departments, so you all can come up with some sort of a. Now Central Bank is also here, but I think mainly for BRICS that we wanted them to come, but since we will write to the minister and get the cabinet approval as well, so we will let it be at that stage. And Commerce Department එකේ මොකක් කර තියෙනවද?
ගරු සභාපතිතුමනි, I represent the acting DG Department of Commerce. And now actually, as you may know, there's a transformation period for Department of Commerce, because I think Office for the International Trade is now for the working under the Presidential Secretariat. It is the place who is taking all policy decisions. So our commerce officers here, they provide all inputs, technical inputs and all. So I would like to suggest when it comes to the policy matters, OIT also should represent.
Yeah, but when we contacted them, their answer was that they have been appointed and given instructions only to negotiate free trade agreements.
But now I think the draft bill has been finalized, and it is I think it will be submitted to the cabinet by next 2-3 weeks. So anyway, our commerce officers are at the moment, they are providing all technical inputs for the even for the free trade negotiations and all.
Yeah, but President's office is only for free trade agreements, but other day-to-day and other business activities should be held by you, apparently.
Yeah, at the moment, but I think in the draft bill, almost all the Department of Commerce activities are there. So, and I think our commerce officers are doing trade promotion activities and all. Because we did, I think we had a very successful participation at the Kunming Fair in China last time, and our trade officer who was mentioned there, she did a good work, and
But what is there a difference between this? Is honorable member was not raising Kunming, no? It was
not Kunming, that is Beijing. I'll ask her and let you know what has happened.
Same officer.
Same
officer. But I
officer.
think at the same time you all have to inform us what are the areas you all have given prioritize, and what are the events that you have prioritized.
Yeah.
Now, China is a big country,
Yes.
and they might be having 25-30 trade fairs per
Yeah,
annum.
yeah.
So we can't expect you to participate in all.
Yes.
So
Have you
And-
done any analysis on, I mean, getting investment is hard and trade is hard. Have you done any analysis from your department regarding the biggest problems in China?
China actually not I think our Dr. Lakshmi, no, there's no such analysis so far, and
Then how are you going to tackle China? That's our problem.
actually we are in a very short of staff problem.
Then you should be telling your minister and the government
Yes.
that you are short of staff. You know, and
31 members are in the missions, and only 10 officers are here in Sri Lanka. So they are fully time engaged in with these negotiations and all. I think they are heavily doing with these free trade negotiations. So, and there are, I think, now it's Thailand free trade agreements is going on, and in Bangladesh, and China is coming up, and EPCA, RCEP, everything is there. So that's the problem. So I think that the recruitment is also now has been stopped by the government. So
can't you get from different departments or ministries, can't you get like now we have a government with 1.6 million public servants. So every time I go to a committee, they're saying there's not enough staff, right? So I don't know where this problem is coming from. So can't you transfer some people and even get a training?
Yes,
and
honorable member,
get,
I also, because there are staff, but not the this kind of specific technical staff.
No, that's why I'm saying at least if you can do a training, let's say it takes 1 year.
Yeah.
If I mean, we are always saying there's not enough technical staff, but at least if you can do a training, and there might be some people in this 1.6 million group that can do this job after a training, right?
Yes, and I would like to suggest this committee, because we have seen in Yunnan province, Honorable Chairman, all interns, they are working in the Department of Commerce in Yunnan, who I think who are the undergraduates in international relations and all.
We can recommend and we can write to your minister, but you all have to act now. For example, for foreign ministry, we recommended 6 months ago, and they are still evaluating whether they need or not for the missions.
Yep.
So then, because see, interns is a way forward. That's the only solution I see at the moment because of the current situation we face. But the relevant authorities, like for example, London mission should act fast and tell the Colombo mission how many interns they want. I mean, if the ambassador or the High Commission is active and the mission is active, I don't think they need even 5 minutes to realize how many interns they need. So I don't want to really question on that, because that's not my style of working. But the reality is, we will recommend that. But end of the day, your departments have to act fast and make sure that you all get the interns.
Yes, Honorable Chairman, because I believe now we have started with awareness programs in this with this SME sector exporters, because normally they are not aware with these concessions under the free trade agreements and all. So I started, now we are doing in district-wise. So for that promotions and all, so we can get use of these kind of interns.
We will recommend that from the committee to the Commerce Department as well. But at the same time, I think you have to talk to your boss and see whether you're going to stay lie low till the act is passed, or whether you're going to
Yes.
work, because once it goes to cabinet, if someone goes to courts,
Yes.
and then it will take a couple of weeks more. And if it's not passed in parliament, you're back to square one. And at the same time, even if it is passed, but with a lot of amendments, and if that, like happened to the Port City Commission, and you won't have the expected outcome of the draft,
Yes.
then you're still back to square one.
Yes, Honorable Chairman, because I'm not a commerce officer, I'm acting director general, and these
No, I understand.
officers are, commerce officers are under the pressure because they are, I think they are losing their career in the very soon, so
So I'm sure they will go to courts as well, no? So it will take time. So without waiting till it's passed, I think we should come up with some action plan for next couple of months, because there are certain reforms that has to be done, but at the same time it has to be done in a proper manner, because there is no point doing reforms because a third party or organization insists you to do, and insist us and tell us how we should admin ourselves. So I haven't seen the draft, but I'm just telling as in general.
Okay, thank you.
So I think we should have a working committee immediately under the Foreign Ministry or BOI or Commerce Department, at least till things settle down, because there seems to be a clear miscommunication with Commerce Department and the President's Secretariat as well. Because we had the same issue, because even with the National Food Security National Council meeting, when we summoned Honorable Member, the subcommittee and the Cabinet subcommittee and the Presidential Advisor, I mean, they were both housed in the same building, but they didn't know what they were doing. So both of them had done a different draft, but they were in the same house, same office complex. So this is something that we will also look into. But I think we should have a intercommunication system between at least BOI, Finance Ministry is here, in representative from the Finance. Trade and Investments. ඔයාලගේ අපේ මොකද්ද මේකට අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන් ෆයිනෑන්ස් මිනිස්ට්‍රි එක ඉන්වෝල්ව් වෙලා කරන්න පුළුවන්ද නැත්නම් ෆොරින් මිනිස්ට්‍රි එක හරහා යනවද? මොකද අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ මේ ක්ලියර් අපි මේක වැඩි කාලය ගන්න නැතුව අපි ඉවර කරමු. මොකද BOI එක, කොමර්ස් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එක, ටූරිසම් එක මේ කමියුනිකේෂන් ගැප් එක at least once a week key stakeholders ලා once in 2 weeks වත් හම්බෙලා ඒ මිෂන්ස් වල තියෙන එන ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට්ස් හරි ටූරිසම් ප්‍රොමෝෂන් වල ඉෂුස් ටික ඩිස්කස් කරන පැබායක වැඩක්. ඉතින් එතකොට අපිට ෆයිනෑන්ස් එකට කියන්න පුළුවන් කන්සෙෂන්ස් දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද කියලා BOI එකට කියන්න පුළුවන් BOI එකේ කන්සෙෂන්ස් පුළුවන්ද බැරිද? මොකද අපි මිෂන් එක හෙඩ් කෙනෙක් යවුවත් ඉන්වෙස්ටර් කෙනෙක්ට කතා කරන්න he will definitely ask they will definitely ask මොකද්ද තියෙන concession. දැන් මම දැක්කා ඊයේ පෙරේද Port City එකත් ලොකු ප්‍රොමෝෂන් එකක් කරලා තියෙනවා කියලා, but I don't know whether they have finalized the regulations yet, right? So without finalizing අපි නම් අද ඒකත් will write to the minister not to have a cabinet subcommittee අනේ but interministerial communication එකක් හදන්න කියලා cabinet එකටත් inform කළා. At least once in 2 weeks EDB එක, BOI එක, treasury එක, or finance ministry එක, investment arm එක, trade department එක, tourism board එක හම්බෙලා ඒ රටවල් වල තියෙන key issues ටික මේ discuss කරගන්න. මොකද එහෙම නැත්තම් අපරාධයක්. මොකද එක එක කට්ටිය silos වල ඔපරේට් කරනවා, ඊට පස්සේ ඒකේ ඇත්තටම outcome එකක් නැහැ. ඉතින් එතකොට ඒකේ අපිට මම හිතන්නේ ඒකේ full outcome එක මේ ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද දැන් අර BOI board මේ Port City එකේ regulations are finalized. Yeah, so without finalizing regulation, I don't see the point of going for promotions. මොකද ඩුබායි ගිහිල්ලා මිලියන්ස් වේදන් කරලා you invest, you promote BOI so like port city, but you are not ready to welcome them. I think I really don't know the logic behind that, but end of the day that has happened. But it's good visibility for the country. But end of the day, the investor will have a bad image.
What is the delay?
Delay is regulations finally escalate. Bank incorporation, bank accounts.
But that's sending a bad message to the investors that we can't get that.
There are about I personally know about 6ක් විතර වෙලා හැරලා ගියානේ.
Commission, Chairman,
Yeah.
so we are not really
But 6 or
involved.
7 investors who came to open companies and they didn't go ahead because they can't open a company. More the companies, because there are certain acts to be amended, I think.
Coordination between BOI and the port
There is.
city, it's a totally separate.
And they have different regulations and concessions, so
Alright.
it's totally different.
Different. Okay.
But end of the day, they have to come under the Companies Incorporation Act, Banking Act, Central Bank Act. They have amendment natuwa, they have no powers. Because it's a free trade zone kind of a concept. How can they open a company without Banking Act? They can't incorporate a company, 100% foreign owned company. So those things have to be changed. So I don't know whether they have done it or not.
Today I saw a picture saying that they have welcomed an investor from China.
That's probably the China Harbour investment.
No, to
Tower
set up a gem museum and some other like a $50 million investment.
That's probably about 20 purchase, ne? $50 million. Port city is for transactions. So first I think they should finalize the transaction regulations and allow people to open companies and do business. Now what we do is we concentrate on real estate. And real estate is a different business. So we have mistaken the entire concept of free financial city, financial zone like a concept misinterpreted. Now we have gone into a real estate developer. So now we promote real estate. But I think initially what we should do is allow foreigners to come and, or locals or whoever the investor, to open a company and a bank account and do their transactions from Sri Lanka. So ඒ දෙක තමයි prioritize වෙන්න ඕනේ, because real estate is the hard part. Now if you look at Middle East, even Dubai, they came into real estate 10 years after they open up for bank transactions. Once the cash flow comes, then things will move. අපේ foreign minister දෙකත් port city communication යන්නේ නැද්ද?
Well, sir, Port City Commission also part of the delegation when Honorable Tarka Balasuriya went to Riyadh to take part in the joint consultative committee. Therefore, we have already some form of coordination with
Yeah, but that is only an event, ne?
Yeah, correct, sir.
But in the long run, if someone wants to come and open a company at Port City, do you know what are the
No, sir, as you said, now since they are still in the process of enacting their regulations.
Okay.
And
Because
therefore,
now
we are in agreement that it has to be done faster, and then we also we work with them. And so with regard to this interns for missions abroad, now we do have interns working for the mission totally on voluntary basis, and we don't pay a cent for them. And I'm personally aware for at least for the last 10 years, especially on missions in New York and Geneva, they get services of interns free of charge on voluntary basis. We do that.
Yeah, but what we want is to have a proper intern program.
That's right.
You don't pay them anyway.
Right,
they
sir.
come free, but they have to get a certificate from Sri Lankan
Correct.
Foreign Ministry saying
Yeah.
they were a part of this a particular intern program.
Yes, now we have done that this guidelines for them to work with the missions. So we are on the ball.
So you finish that, then you can get a lot of young, because then actually it's easy to
Yes, sir, correct.
get the foreign policy across to the other part of the world
Right.
as well.
And plus, with regard to any accusations and with regard to our missions abroad, unless a specific mission and a specific incident is brought to our attention, I'm sorry, I won't be able to write to those missions and ask for clarifications or explanations. So we would appreciate if there is any information
No, if there is,
to be shared with us.
If there is anything, we will write to you with very specific information. But accusations are normal for all countries, all foreign missions. So you should understand that as a diplomat. So it's just because you deal with a lot of departments. institutions, public relations, labor, investments. So it's a very it's like a politician, you have to work with a lot of different cultures and people. So it's naturally that you get the blame end of the day, so we understand that. But what honorable members are raising is the concerns they have, so we will be we will be kind enough to answer, and we will write to them on official manner. Anything else? So we will take two decisions. One is to write to the Commerce Department regarding the intern program, and also at the same time we will write to the Honorable Foreign Minister about the BRICS, and also incorporating the communication network or a committee meeting quarterly every 2 weeks to communicate between the missions regarding investments, tourism and trade promotions. Okay? Thank you.